Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I gotta tell you, we could be in for a somewhat noisy program. The dog has not been picked up, so there's that. I tried stupidly over the weekend to start cleaning up my backyard. I let the leaves stay where they are, but obviously in the spring they've got to get cleaned out. And I tried, but there's nothing more absurd than a hobbled old lady with a bad back, a bad knee, and a boot on her leg, trying to. It was ludicrous, and it was I couldn't do it. I mean, I filled four of those bags, paper bags. I was really proud of myself, but I did myself in. And I'm just saying this because I've done something I'm already regretting. When I went out to get my paper this morning, I bumped into the guy who does my neighbor's yard. The guy who I'm always screaming about because of his friggin' leaf blower. And he saw my state, and he said, "Oh man, Miss Cullen, you want me to clean this all up for you? I'd be glad to do it today." And I said, "Yes, please." So that makes me a hypocrite because I rail against him, and I was trying, to again not. Anyway, so there's that. It could get noisy between the dog and the friggin' leaf blower, which I have employed today. But I'm falling back. Let's see, here we go. Now, what we have here is the dog barking at the guy who's about to use the leaf blower. I knew it. Hi, welcome to a Monday. It's April 10. Jeez. Here we are. I hope you can hear me, because I can't hear myself. What a crazy week. Man, weekend. Every time, on Thursdays, I'm always saying, heaven knows what we'll be talking about on Monday, because, the hits just keep on coming. And good heavens, the Tennessee thing, the Tennessee 3 was such an alarming. I mean, to see that level of racism and autocracy in real time was chilling. I was riveted to the TV when the super majority good old white boys threw out the first young black colleague. I'm sure they would recoil at the term. Justin Jones. They moved on to the lone woman and white person, and that would be Gloria Johnson. Oh, dear God in heaven. I'm so sorry. Hey, Blue. It's useless. I can't stop him. Okay. Can you guys hear me? I'm asking the producer. Is this doable, or are things out of control here? I mean, I can keep going. It's hard for me. I can't. You're going to have to text me. I can't hear a word you're saying. I mean, it's that bad. So, whatever. I'm going to keep going. This is absurd. Although you will acknowledge that a number of times watching, CNN or MSNBC, they're interviewing somebody and there's a dog barking in the background. dogs are having their day. Anyway, I could not believe it when I could not believe it when they didn't kick her off. That was the part. And again, call me naive, but I thought the three of them had all done the same thing. And how then do you? And of course, she said what it was. It was that the color of her skin. The dog is gone. The color of her skin was the deciding factor, obviously. One measly vote, but nonetheless, she got that white skin spared her. I also understand that at one point she was approached by people in the legislature and told that if she resigned, she could still keep her health benefits or something. They told her some of the consequences of what she was doing in terms of keeping her insurance and stuff like that. They didn't do the same. Somebody asked the two black ex-representatives if they had been approached and told. And they made clear that nobody told them nothing. I guess what scared me more than anything was how arrogant and clearly feeling untouchable these Southern Tennessee racists are. I mean, it's absurd that I would still entertain some hope that things were different. They have a super majority. They didn't have to kick anybody out. They can do whatever they damn well please, which is what I guess they did. The arrogance of total authoritarianism. And it is chilling. I guess the other thing that astonished me is once they let the white woman stay and then they moved on to their third and final expulsion, I thought surely they're going to realize that if they kick this other black guy out, Justin Pearson, everyone, even the most clueless folk imaginable, will see the racism involved here. So I thought maybe cooler heads on that white racist floor would, say, hey guys, let's, we'll just keep him too. And then we'll remove the race issue. But no. Because when you control everything and you know you're right, and you, by your white male privilege, have the power and you exercise it, of course you wouldn't think that. And the stupidity, their stupidity in that they created. Why do I now know, and you know the names, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson. I recognize them if I could pick them out of a lineup. They're huge. They're big. They went from being nothing with no power to extraordinary power. And they were elevated to that position by the very people who tried to silence them. Idiots. I'm happy. Their idiocy is only beneficial in the end. But my God. My God. And then to go back to what this was all about. This was about the shooting. This was about the fact that 6 people had been killed at a school. What, Chris? There's an active shooting thing happening right now. Louisville, Kentucky. The shooter is down. There are 6 victims. This is in downtown Louisville. You know what? Okay. So the whole the Tennessee thing was about confronting the horror of their recent shooting. Where 6 people were killed. And the fact that the response of the Republican legislature was like that of Republicans at the national level and in state legislatures all over the country was more guns. More guns. Arm the teachers who don't want to be armed. And they wouldn't even let these people speak. They don't have to. They have a supermajority. They can call them out of order. They can shut them down. It is no different than, if you were in communist China and they allow a few dissidents in just to pretend that they are less authoritarian than they are. The fact is they did what they did because they were trying to represent their constituents who sent them there to represent them, the state capitol. And I don't know if you're aware, do you know that in 2016, Congressman John Lewis, a great, great man, he led a similar protest in the United States House of Representatives. You may recall, they went to the same location, the well of the House. He led that protest, he and other Democrats, and they sat down. They did a sit-in at the U.S. House of Representatives in 2016. And last time I looked, that was a Republican-controlled House of Representatives, and even that did not result in them expelling all the Democrats in the chamber. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, in the last 2 years, these supermajority Republican legislatures have, and it's all since Uvalde, that particular massacre of children. And Republican-led legislatures' response to that has overwhelmingly been rolling back background checks, eliminating requirements for permits to own guns or carry concealed weapons or where guns can be carried, including, of course, on school campuses. So that now half of the states of this union require no permits, no training to carry a handgun. This is the Republican response. And if what happened in Tennessee, this ham-fisted authoritarian crackdown of these uppity blacks and that woman, if this turns out to be a galvanizing moment, I mean, Sandy Hook was not. Uvalde was not. The mass murder today is not. That I guess just happened. The one that's going to happen tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. I don't know, but for some reason this energized a lot of young people in one of these idiot states controlled by Republicans. And it elevated this discussion to the national stage in a way that maybe if those of us who want to see this madness begin to stop will figure out finally how to not let go. I don't know. I don't know. Unbelievable. When I started the show, Chris had sent me an email that said the heading was Louisville, Kentucky shooting. And in my head, I was still, because I was talking about the Tennessee, I just thought she was sending me stuff out. And so I'm getting popping on my mic today. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's where it usually is. Are my peas popping? I'm so sorry. At least the dog's been removed. So I just don't know how our side, guys, has got more people. We've got the youth. Republicans know it. It's why they're engaged in the authoritarian craziness, panicked, ham-fisted politics that they're employing. But my God, we've got to use our power. And it's the power of people. Okay. So I don't even know where to go. There's so, I want to get to the totally unsurprising ruling that came out of Texas federal judge Kazmierik's ruling regarding the abortion bill. Astonishing in his again, this arrogance of feeling that even though he took an oath to apply law and precedent, his own religiously infused beliefs trumped what should have been his judicial responsibility. Don't worry, we'll get to Clarence Thomas too, speaking of that. Good God. I have a call. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. It's Beth calling.
Hi, Beth.
Hey, just something interesting. I'm wondering if any of your other listeners have had it too. Thursday evening, got a call, and, could tell it's one of these polling kind of company things. And I kind of like, just for a habit, to see, okay, who's trying to poll what right now? Is it the Republicans, the Democrats, this think group, that think group? And at first, by some of the questions, I thought, okay, I don't know where this is going. And then probably about midway through, I figured out, I think there is what we talked about last week, some serious money pushing a third party.
Yes.
The funny thing, because they asked, are you favorable of Trump, unfavorable of Trump? Are you just indifferent? They asked about DeSantis. They asked about Ocasio-Cortez. They asked about Bernie Sanders. They asked about Elizabeth Warren. Like, you had the trigger people from both extremes, a couple kind of moderates thrown in, and then they asked your feelings on tons of different political questions. The funny thing is, the two things they didn't ask: gun control, abortion.
Abortion. Right.
Yep, those are the two. Everything else they were asking, as far as, would you be likely to vote for a candidate if they, are in favor of, opposed to, this, that. And I thought, okay. So, of course, I was, having fun saying I was a younger male. I kind of threw the skew off a bit just for because I could kind of see where this was going. But I was just curious if anyone else. And again, this wasn't a cheap poll that was conducted.
Okay.
As someone who used to be in the political game.
Yeah. You have heard that there is this group of a lot of Republicans, a lot of no-Trumper Republicans. I think Joe Lieberman is part of the group.
Right. And his a lot of his funding comes, I know, from the McMahons.
Okay. So there's money. And they are thinking, yes, third party. They're looking to be as spoilers. Because they're not going to win. They're looking to be spoilers. But who are they spoilers for?
That's the thing, is that they're just going to go into areas where they know where they can spoil. Screw it up for the Democrat in this area, screw it up for the Republican in this area. But again, I was just curious if anyone else has. But
wow.
This almost seemed to be like, when we launched this thing by this poll, here are our points. And again, minus abortion, minus gun control. Anyway, so that was just...
Now, why do you think so? Why would they not bother on those two issues?
I think because probably who they've already lured to that area, they're either saying this is a states... my guess is they're going to go states' rights issue.
Uh-huh.
With both. Which, it tells me then if that's what you're doing, then you're really going to target more so like the John Tester types, or, some folks in the very red areas that maybe don't want the Trumpers, but they don't want they can't vote for the, demonized Democrat. Anyway, but I just, again, the more so the thing I think, like I said, I found most surprising, especially what I just heard you say about another shooting in Louisville, Kentucky, is the fact that those are the two issues they don't want to talk about. Meanwhile, the two issues most Americans,
those are the ones.
It's like, you know what? I want to have control over my own body. And, I don't think that people who are mentally imbalanced, or there's issues, you don't let a guy have a drink before the age of 21, but yet you're going to give him an AR-15 at age 18.
I think it's even lower age in some places. It's beyond comprehension. It's beyond comprehension, and it's on us. It's on us that they're getting away with it. It's on us.
Yeah, and it's also just the way these districts and everything are made up. I would say I never thought in my lifetime I would see, just nationwide, when you looked at the quote-unquote intellect or mental capabilities of state legislatures right now, it has to be among the lowest I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking, we're not even at Mensa Junior. I mean, it's really that bad. And then you start to add, real issues on top of it, such as AI, self-driving cars, the thing of, can you have insurance companies, now dictate, well, you know what, we're going to charge you more of a premium because you want to drive your own car, not let this car drive you. We're kind of getting to those precipice on some of those issues. And these people do not have the mental capability to even handle these issues. And if they're not listening, hey, you know what? If you're not going to listen, hey, we want equal justice, for crying out loud. When you looked at the protests of Floyd, when you looked at furthermore, then the people who went and shot black people who were maybe armed at these protests are now getting away with it.
Yeah.
So you're not listening. You're not listening there.
No, not at all. No, it's that unbelievable arrogance, which will be their downfall if they don't take the whole country down with them.
That's exactly it. So, I mean, us being vocal, again, these are two issues that before it used to be a thing. Hey, if it's polling this high, we ain't touching it. They don't care anymore because they just don't need us that much. They need us 1 day, 2 days a year at the most, or once every 4 years. No one is listening is the problem. So, if that third party starts to use that matriculation and that falsehood, well, you know what? They're probably going to have a lot of people joining them down another fake rabbit hole type of thing. But
okay.
Hey, thank you. Another uplifting Monday.
Yes. Well, what are we going to do? It ain't too much thing. I mean, what are we going to do? You got to deal with reality.
And get a lot more smart people who are, it's time for people to take a break from what you do in life if you can. And if you can get that support behind you, and that's a big thing of it, and start taking on some of these dumb SOBs.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, dear. Okay. So listen, so the judge in Texas, is it the first time ever that a court had arrogantly decided that it could remove from the market an approved drug because we know he's a scientific genius. It doesn't matter that all of the studies show the drug is totally safe. It is used by doctors, hospitals all over the place, has been. He has decided. And yet another judge, something's wrong with our system here. Another judge decided that the FDA should continue to keep this drug available. And so this is probably heading toward, yes, our Supreme Court. God help us. But I can't imagine that even this court, although Clarence Thomas, he'll go with Kasner, he'll go with the Texan. Amy Coney Bryant, on this, Barrett, whatever the fuck her name is, I don't know. Oh my God. And then the unbelievable cruelty and need for control of our lives of these Republicans is mind-blowing. Idaho, do you hear what Idaho did? Wednesday became the first state, it won't be the last, the first state to make it illegal for minors, for children in other words, for children to leave the state to get an abortion without parental consent. In other words, Idaho became the first state that told children that they will be forced to give birth to another child. Children being forced to give birth to more children in Idaho. And forced birth, that's what it is, forced birth. is Republicans, in a country with no universal health care, no universal child care, no paid family leave, and one of the highest maternal mortality rates among so-called civilized nations. These are the pro-lifers. This is what they beget. This level of unbelievable cruelty has nothing to do with life. It has to do with taking a religious point of view and forcing it on an entire supposedly secular nation. This Judge Kaczmarek, his ruling, if you read any of it, I read some of it. I mean, he never spoke, he always talked about the unborn human. The unborn human is, he was talking about them from the minute an egg and a sperm got together and created a two-cell thing. He called that a human. So the Idaho law actually creates a new crime, which is called abortion trafficking. So it means that anyone who, let's say a 15-year-old girl, okay, let's say a 15-year-old girl is raped by her father. This happens. Raped by another relative. This happens. And is pregnant. And there is no way she can tell or feels she can tell her family. They'll go berserk. They won't believe her. All whatever. And she knows she needs to get this out of her. If she finds somebody willing to drive her hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles across the state line, that person will be liable for a prison sentence of 5 years. That person will get 5 years in prison if they even just access the pill for her. This same law, they call it abortion trafficking. This same law allows the filing of lawsuits against doctors. And also, even if the doctor lives outside the state. So even if a minor, a child, gets out of the state, gets an abortion, somebody finds out about it, they can sue the doctor in the other state. And if local prosecutors refuse to enforce the law, the Idaho Attorney General will have sole discretion to do so. These Republicans now ride roughshod over any other governmental entity that might get in their way. I find it as I said, chilling. I truly find it frightening. You know, trying to think of who wrote it. Do you remember hearing about something called the Comstock, law? I vaguely remember reading about it in college in some class. It was named after this disgusting human named Anthony Comstock, who he's been dead for well over 100 years. But man, it's as if he's been resurrected in all of these Republican legislatures. Because the Comstock Act that he is behind was an act that ended up having books banned by the thousands, people arrested by the thousands. It was an anti-abortion law. It was here's a quote from someone who's written a lot about it. It represented in its day, and this would be in the 19th century, it represented in its day the pinnacle of Victorian prudery, the high watermark of a rigid code. And it was so infamous, even at the time, that it actually created a word. George Bernard Shaw, the British playwright, used the term Comstockery as he looked on, appalled from across the sea, at what was happening in the U.S., saying Comstockery running rampant in America, creating censorship of this, that, and everything. It banned. Listen to this, and this is what we're doing now in the state of Oklahoma. These same people, and every time I come up, I'm telling you this. I'm talking about Republicans in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Senate passed a bill that bans public libraries from having any content with, here's the quote, a predominant tendency to appeal to a prurient interest in sex. Now, so stop and think of it. First of all, that's subjective. I've read, you've read, we've all read lots of books that, if written well, can appeal to, get us, sexually aroused. Novelists write about humans and human behavior and human relationships and facts. Even if Republicans don't want to deal with it, sex is like one of the biggies. Can you imagine? It's 2023, and Comstock would be proud of these Oklahoma senators. Comstock tried to suppress photographs of cross-dressing women. And what do we have now? Well, Tennessee has banned drag performances. I heard one of the chants from the young people in their Capitol rotunda, something about you ban drag, but our children are in body bags. But they think of the things that the children have to be protected from. It's drag queens, not bullets. Drag queens. How many kids have been mowed down by drag queens lately? I'm asking. And so Casimir, a judge in Texas, this is another Comstockian thing. And he actually, in his ruling, talks about the Comstock Act, which, by the way, has not totally been repealed. So he based some of this, his decision saying that this heavily used drug could not be available anymore on the Comstock Act, because the Comstock Act, and I'll quote from it here, bars mailing any article, instrument, substance, drug, medicine, or thing which is advertised or described in a manner calculated to lead another to use or apply it for producing abortion or for any indecent purpose. So, I mean, the fact is if that law is interpreted, I mean, it's beyond belief. This is where we are. We're back with the Comstock Act. I'll quote Michelle Goldberg on this. There is something head-spinning about how quickly Comstock's spirit of punitive repression has settled on a country where, not long ago, social liberalism seemed largely triumphant. With the rapid acceptance of gay marriage, the growing visibility of trans people, over-the-counter access to emergency contraception, just a year ago, the idea of a judge using the Comstock Act to halt medical abortion nationwide would have seemed hysterical. Hysterical. What? Are you kidding me? By the time the Comstock Act was passed, listen to this. Vulcanized rubber. You can't, this is where knowing history is just fascinating. Vulcanized rubber, invented in 1839, had allowed for the mass production of rubber condoms, rubber diaphragms. And these were being sold. Comstock wanted it stopped. And his use, and the use we see now in the Republican Party, of essentially Christian religious authoritarianism. It's like the friggin' Taliban. I'm just, I'm blown away. Chris writes, I find it funny that the NRA will be holding their convention and have metal detectors. Are you kidding? And they also, the NRA doesn't allow people with guns in their convention? That is too rich for words. The breathtaking audacity, hypocrisy, mind-blowing. I have a caller. Hello.
Morning.
Hey.
Roger. Hey.
Hi.
When crap like what you're talking about is going on, and as our country seems to be being pushed in certain directions by the minority of this country, like because of the judges and because of the Senate and the Electoral College and everything. Do you see the things turning around as far as the states' rights issues? Because historically speaking, it's usually the crazies who want state rights, is the way I see it anyway. But if this keeps going in this fashion, where a minority is going to continue to put a stranglehold on the liberties of our country, do you see states like Maryland and New York and California starting champion state rights? Because what other option are we going to have if we're going to continue to be monopolized by these few crazy people? It sounds terrible, but
whole thing. Well, I know, but clearly, what we're seeing is the power of the states. It's what Republicans always appreciated. It's why they were for states' rights. The power a state has. Do you see that in these Republican states? They are using their power to overrule the governments in their cities, because those governments are Democratic governments. They are taking, and this has happened in Pennsylvania, and it happens that they are actually taking over by state fiat powers that local jurisdictions have had before, stripping cities of their right to control their police, stripping cities. They will stop at nothing. And we've got to understand that control at the state level is extraordinarily important. Doesn't answer your question. I don't know. Because we cannot predict from week to week what horror is going to happen.
And look what's going on in Florida. I mean, that crazy man's trying to just.
Well, he took out like a prosecutor. I mean, they. I've often wondered, DeSantis does things where I'm always left thinking, wait a minute, you mean a governor can just knock a prosecutor out of office who was elected by the people? You mean a governor can just decide that a college will be taken over by the state? You mean a governor? I don't understand. He apparently has whatever power he wants because the Florida legislature will give it to him, or certainly not get in his way. These are autocratic Christian nationalists. You can call them fascists.
And how do we free ourselves from that? Because guess what? I don't think they give a shit about demonstrations and protesters or anything like that. You know, you can have all that you can. No,
they care about power. That's what they understand. So we have to seek power like they seek power, and we have to use it like they use it.
As long as we can keep our people in control and not turn them into crazy people like they have. The other thing, your previous caller was talking about the third party a questionnaire or whatever, a survey. This isn't directly related to what she had, but I don't think anybody can get a third party going, because what it's going to do is just going to give power to the opposite party. So let's say like Ross Perot, for example, he wasn't a third party, but he helped Bill Clinton get elected, and the Green Party helped get George Bush elected.
Yeah.
And so
if you peel away the edges of another party, right, you can throw the election but that's often what a third party is intending to do. I mean, they're intending to do that. That's what they're mischief makers for sure. I still have not forgiven Ralph Nader. I mean, I just, and anybody who voted for him, just played into the Republican hands. Just unfriggin' believable. Like Nader was going to win. Give me a break. I mean, insane. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Ralph, if it weren't for the Green Party, we may not be anywhere near where we're at right now, quite frankly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that unleashed such craziness. Even though we still, we now speak of George Bush as the good old days compared to this latest Yahoo, but a third party is, as dissatisfied I am with the Democratic Party many times. Boy, to start a third party because I'm not happy with them, I'm just going to be helping out the Republican Party. And it's like we're like at a catch-22, aren't we? We can't make this any better for us.
No, don't. There is always a way. We gotta act. We have to organize. We have to become part of a movement. We have to be seen. We have to stop talking and do something. And we have to have the kind of organizers, leadership arise, and that should probably be coming from the younger people now, who will lead us.
But if those younger people keep going to New York City or San Francisco or Lawrenceville, it's not helping out the rest of the country. This action has to happen in Iowa, in Idaho, in West Virginia.
Well, it will. That's what's happening. That's what we saw with this demonstration in Tennessee. Getting all these states mixed up now. The fucking Confederacy back to. It's like the Confederacy in its death throes. Again. I mean, we never really. As I've often said, the Civil War was a battle that our side supposedly won. But the war has been going on since, and I have to tell you, it's unclear who's winning. And it is intensifying because the Confederacy still lives in the hearts of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Americans.
But what you said, what's going?
This country is mind blowing.
Oh, it is. It surprised me until 2016. I was living in a bubble, I guess. But what you just mentioned about Nashville, they can demonstrate all they want. I don't see that helping our cause at all in that state, because they'll just cut the urban areas in half to gerrymander. Mm-hmm. Their legislature.
Well, here's what we do then. You have to win. You have to get the Supreme Court changed, the U.S. Supreme Court changed, and because this Supreme Court has aided and abetted the Republican agenda, they have eviscerated the Civil Rights Act. They have eviscerated the Voting Rights Act. They have allowed political gerrymandering. They are absolutely part and parcel of why Republicans have been able to ascend to the level of power as a minority party. Let us be clear. They are a minority party.
You know that doesn't seem to make any difference, but it is the young people. Absolutely. Time to pass the torch.
Yep.
Give them guidance.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Oh, yeah, I will. Okay. Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.
I guess I'm not going to get to Clarence Thomas today. I'm looking at the clock. I'll leave him for tomorrow. Unbelievable, though. Unbelievable. I want to say you guys were all over me on, Thursday? We were talking about artificial intelligence. And the movie Ex Machina came up. We had a caller who brought it up. She said it was so terrifying, and I said I always thought it was, so I didn't want to watch it. And then I got a lot of feedback from you guys who said, you got to watch it. And so I did. And I was blown away. What an amazing movie. So now I'm telling you, it's on HBO right now, HBO Max, if you have that. Or maybe it's just HBO on demand. You could get it. I don't know. Ex Machina. Whoa! The title comes from a Latin phrase, Deus ex machina, which I think sort of means that God, as anything that is by divine intervention or intervention. At one point in the movie, this guy who has created this amazing robot is told that he is like a god. He has created life. And this is so pertinent, this movie now. Watching it when it came out, it still seemed more science fiction-like, I suppose. Watching it today is, I keep using this word, but this is my reaction to so much in the world. It's chilling. It's just chilling. Because it is about how, sure, fine, you want to create, you think you can create this like human-like intelligence, and you think you can control it, huh? You're going to give these robots more brain power than any person has, and you think you can control them? And, you know, I mentioned that even Elon Musk and a whole bunch of others are freaking out right now. Apple's co-founder, Steve Wozniak, Musk, a whole bunch of other of these guys who understand this stuff a whole lot better than I do, are saying, stop it, stop now. There needs to be a moratorium. They said at least 6 months. 6 months, I'd go for 6 years. I'd go for 600 years. But the cat is already out of the bag. And in their letter, they said that AI presents a, quote, profound risk to humanity. What they mean is what I've always feared, that these things we create will in the end win, and they will take us out. And the reaction of the big guys who are putting these, this AI out right now, is that they've been firing the people that in their companies whose job it was to keep an eye on the ethics of what they were up to. So Google has blocked its top ethical AI researchers from publishing papers which warn that these things are not ready yet, and yet they've put them. Then they push them out. They tried to shut them up a year ago, 2 years ago, and now they've gotten rid of them. This fall, Microsoft began breaking up what had been part of the largest technology ethics team in this field. And in fact, just last month, the team was laid off. It's gone. They don't want ethical people. They don't want getting in the way of them, what? Making a killing? Make the money, then we'll worry about what we've unleashed. Unbelievable. Hey, so there you have it. Ain't my fault. I'm just responding to what passes in front of my little eyes on a daily basis, and we are living in a terrifying time. There is so much we need to pay attention to and make our voices heard. And I know it feels paralyzing. We need to start lifting up the voices of those who aren't paralyzed but who act. And we need to join that. I don't know. All right, guys, that's it. Sorry about the dog. And I'll be back tomorrow. I do intend to go out into this glorious day. I hope you can get out into it too. Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.